As we reach the 1-month mark of the NBA season, production from players and teams will no longer be pushed aside by the small sample size argument, and instead the patterns that we see will more than likely be the identification of who these players and teams really are. And as we reach that moment, not only will I produce more videos, but more importantly, taking the time out to highlight some of the young and up-and-coming players in the NBA will be a necessity. So that's exactly what I am doing in today's video. First, we have Ja Morant, a 6'3" hyper-athletic point guard who is a lead candidate in the Most Improved Player of the Year race. Now, similar to his predecessors, with Morant's lightning quick first step, it doesn't take much for him to beat his initial defender to the basket for easy buckets, which has been a staple to his offensive game early on in his career. However, early on this year, Ja has added a twist to the playing style that we've seen many other players in NBA history not be able to add to their game, and that is a three-point shot. Now, I'm not going to act like Ja Morant is Steph Curry or Damian Lillard. However, shooting 38% from three is not only something that is impressive from someone who has struggled with this aspect of his game early on in his career, but also something that is interesting and should open up a lot of other options for not only his game but also his teammates. Majority of Morant's three-pointers come from just simply punishing the defense. Since the scouting report more or less mirrors many other players with similar archetypes, most of the time the defender normally just goes under the pick and roll with the anticipation of Morant attempting to beat him to the basket, but Ja has actually done a really good job at being patient, gathering himself and knocking down a quality three-point shot, especially at the top of the key. And if not that, when Morant is off ball and the defense shifts, normally defenders will just help off of Ja Morant, even if it means just one pass away, because again, normally he's just not a quality three-point shooter. But again, in that situation, Morant has proven that he has been a quality option. Furthermore, it looks like Morant might actually have a quality floater in his arsenal, which should really open things up for him in the elbow or high paint area, as Morant is converting 51% of his floaters. Now, of course, these new wrinkles in his offensive game can immediately be seen in his efficiency. So far this year, Morant has a true shooting percentage of 57.8, which is roughly plus 3% higher than league average, something that Russell Westbrook nor John Wall were ever able to accomplish at any point in their careers. But what I find more intriguing is how things will start to open up for Morant in terms of passing lanes. So far this season, Morant is averaging 7 assists per game, which is something that we have seen throughout his career, but I do believe as time continues to progress and the defenses start to adjust to his new playing style, that will open up a lot more passing lanes, especially in the high pick and roll situations as defenses continue to experiment the different ways to defend the 22-year-old guard. In short, this could be the beginning of a superstar career for Morant, as Morant's unbelievable athleticism and his ruthless approach to attacking slower-footed defenders has really shone a light on his game early on in his career, but potentially this level of offensive development in year 3 could fast-track him to be a legitimate, unstoppable guard in the NBA. Up next, we have Dejounte Murray. Murray is a 6'4" point guard who plays for the San Antonio Spurs and back during the 2017-2018 season made a name for himself due to how impactful he was on the defensive end. And despite him dealing with an ACL injury in the following season, he has still carried over a lot of that defensive impact so far this year, and the numbers back it up. So far this year, Murray is averaging 2 steals a game, which is top 10 in the NBA, and is averaging 3.7 deflections per game as well, which again is top 10 in the league. However, Dejounte did not make this list because of his impact defensively, because he's already been great at that. The reason why he has intrigued me enough to be placed on this list has a lot to just do with what he's doing on the offensive end of the floor. So far this season, Murray is averaging 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. Granted, the efficiency isn't there, but there is a lot of potential that is very obvious early on this season with the young guard. The greatest area to highlight is how active Murray has been scoring out of pick and roll situations. Murray isn't the greatest three-point shooter and certainly isn't the greatest finisher either, but he has quickly adopted a go-to move in the mid-range area with a pull-up jumper out of pick and roll situations. So far this season, Dejounte Murray is nearly converting 52% of his pull-up jumpers south of the three-point line, nearly all of which is made near the elbow area, as he consistently punishes big men who are trying to determine on the fly should they switch or still stick close to the roll man. And of course, the natural progression to this cat and mouse game that the young guard plays with the backline defender opens up a plethora of passing lanes, which has directly impacted the number of assists that Murray averages on a game-to-game basis. Now, of course, there's still a lot of room to grow for the 25-year-old, but with an increased responsibility offensively, Jakob Poeltl coming back into the starting lineup, and with more reps, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Murray finished the season averaging 20 points, 8 to 9 assists, 7 to 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and more importantly, some noticeable improvements with his shooting splits. Up next, we have Tyrese Maxiell. Maxey is a 6'2" point guard who plays for the Philadelphia 76ers, and in his rookie season, he took upon a role that was more of an offensive spark plug coming off of the bench. However, this year, with the whole Ben Simmons drama, the 21-year-old guard has given the opportunity to prove himself in a starting role. And man, I'm gonna tell you right now, he's taking advantage of every single opportunity that he receives. Across the board, if you just look at the raw numbers, Maxey's productivity has seen a noticeable increase as he's averaging 18 points, nearly 4 rebounds, 5 assists on shooting splits that are so respectable that it translates to a true shooting percentage north of 60%. But what's even more impressive is what we've seen from him in the past 2 weeks of basketball, because he's definitely on fire right now as he has increased his scoring productivity once more to 25 points per game while having even better efficiency. Now, to my Sixers fans, I promise you I'm not trying to be a party pooper, but when I was looking at these numbers, a level of efficiency, I'm gonna tell you right now, it is very legitimate to question if any of this stuff is sustainable, because there is a huge possibility that he's coming off to a very, very hot start. For example, so far this season, Tyrese Maxiell shoots 42% from 3. On his pull-up three-point shots, he shoots 38%. And on his step-back three-point shots, he's shooting 55%. When Maxiell goes for a floater, he's converting those shots at nearly a 60% clip. And he's even noticeably above league average when it comes to finishing at the rim. For someone who is a first-year starter to have this level of efficiency at putting the ball in the basket, I mean, honestly, it is mirroring all-time great production. So again, it is very legitimate to ask how sustainable all of this is. But even as I try to be a bit more realistic, I can easily say that Maxey has been able to produce at this level while Joel Embiid barely has played half of the season. And with that in mind, there is a possibility when there is a legitimate first scoring option on the court that Tyrese could just consistently receive good looks at the basket. So as long as he is consistently converting them, these stat lines that we see from him might actually be the norm for this young guard. Now, before I reveal my last player, huge shout out to the Toronto Raptor fans out there, because I wanted to put OG Anunoby on this list, but unfortunately, due to his hip injury, there isn't any clear indication of when he's going to return. So because of that, to replace him, we have Darius Garland. Garland is a 6'1" point guard who plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and in short, the 21-year-old guard has already shown that he has the capability of putting up quality numbers. However, due to certain personnel decisions, more importantly, playing alongside Colin Sexton in the backcourt, there has been a lesser role that Garland has played early on in his career offensively, especially in terms of scoring the basketball. However, due to unfortunate events, things will change this season as Colin Sexton is sidelined for the remainder of the year. And because of this, just naturally, Garland's role and responsibility will increase in this Cleveland Cavaliers offense. And we've already seen it so far this season. But what's even more impressive is that somehow the rate of efficiency that Garland has been performing at has increased early on this year, as Garland is averaging nearly 18 points per game with a true shooting percentage of nearly 59%. Now, in terms of some form of improvement on how Garland performs, quite frankly, there's not really much to be seen yet. Early on in his career, the young guard has already proven that he is a capable shot creator. He's a solid facilitator, especially on a team that didn't really have that many scoring options. And his level of patience and off-ball awareness is also very impressive for someone his age and lack of experience. And quite frankly, that is the reason why I feel comfortable in highlighting him. But if you're not too familiar with Garland's game, let me tell you right now, he is a master at stopping and going, hesitation moves, crossovers, any and everything that could potentially freeze a defender long enough for Garland to get a quality look. And it's clearly displayed if you look at his shot chart, where he doesn't really have any true weaknesses at all, where majority of the floor he is shooting above league average. And to give you even more specifics, so far this year, the young guard is converting over 50% of his step back jumpers, most of which are taking behind the three-point arc, where he's converting 47% of his step back shots from deep. And even when the defender doesn't necessarily bite on a step back or hesitation, Garland is very comfortable with hitting a floater, converting his floaters so far at a near 60% clip. Now, the only reason why I did not have him on the original list has a lot to just do with who Garland is as a person. Personally, I don't know if Garland shows a level of aggressiveness consistently enough for us to see a noticeable increase in his productivity, but he definitely has the tools to do so, and hopefully we will see that increase in productivity throughout the remainder of the year. And with that being said, I'm sorry, I tried my hardest to find some big men, but I didn't really see any quality candidates, but I'm pretty sure plenty of you all are going to let me know. So please highlight them in the comment section below, any other players who will have breakout seasons this year. And finally, make sure you check out my second channel. We finally hit 100,000 subscribers. I will be uploading more reactionary, hot take based NBA content over there. So if you don't want to miss out on that, make sure you go over there, check it out, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.